Okay, Savannah, growing up in Canada, were you always into beauty and skincare, or did you like get more into it when you were older?
I feel like I've always really been into it. Growing up grew up in a very small town in southern Ontario, and I grew up with it's not a very diverse place that I grew up in. So I was pretty much one of the only mixed, dark, melanin, rich people here. And so I grew up with a lot of like white friends. And so a lot of the time there would just be times where I'd be at a sleepover or something and we'd be doing each other's makeup or doing each other's hair. And I found that things that I had to do for my hair would be completely opposite of what they needed to do. And it was this weird thing where like I would try to do what they were doing, but it just was not working for me. And so that's kind of where I realized that there was a difference in terms of care when it came to hair products and even just like skin products. Like I was very obsessed with like, I'm slathering on lotion, and I have a few of my friends that would be like, why do you put lotion on so much? And I'd be like, wait, you don't slather yourself in lotion? Like what? I don't understand. And I'm like using like cocoa butter and all of this stuff. And so the more I kind of realized that like, oh, there's something that I guess like an interesting thing happening here. And then also when it came to hair, there wasn't a lot of people that knew how to do our hair. So that was something that I really had to figure out on my own, how to do my hair, how to manage it. So it was definitely a kind of a journey, but I definitely got more into it the older I got. And then once I remember senior year of high school, that was when YouTube really became a thing. And so I would watch these videos, tutorials of doing smoky eyes. Like I remember I still have this picture of me with like the worst smoky eye. It was just this big, like black and silver mesh, like mush. But I just remember being like so excited, being like, I did a smoky eye. And I feel like that was kind of where it started to ramp up and I got way more into it.
That is funny. Now, when you were growing up, did they have TikTok and Instagram that you could look at all? Because I didn't have that growing up. So
Neither.
now,
Yeah.
oh, you didn't?
No, I'm a 93 baby. So yeah, no, we did not have that. I mean, we had MySpace, but I really wasn't like into the whole MySpace thing. But maybe my senior year of high school or the summer of my first year in college, I think is when Instagram really became a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, still with like those really bad filters and stuff.
Yeah, nowadays I feel like, okay, the kids, they got it made. Well, it's good and bad, but they can just look up anything. And then we had to struggle and figure it out ourselves.
Yeah, I'm so mad. Like, there's no awkward stage for kids anymore. Like, there's no like blue eyeshadow and like a smacker's lip balm. Like, that's not that's not happening anymore. They're just jumping from like being little to like knowing how to do their eyebrows, knowing how to put things on. Like, where was the mismatched foundation? They don't have to deal with it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm older than you, so I was always looking at like Alyssa Milano, and I was like, wow, how do I look like her? How did she get to be like that? Like, that's who. And then the good thing is though, I didn't have the social media. So it wasn't like I was comparing myself to, all those people at my age. So there's pros and cons to both. Now I know that you, are biracial. And so your father is black and your mother is white. So I was just curious. I presume, did you lived with your mom mainly growing up, or
Yes.
like, how did that work with like needing advice for how to fix your hair and and take care of your skin? Who did you go to for that?
That's so interesting. Yes, because I did grow up with my mother. And like I said, there wasn't a lot of people around. Like there was one lady in this closest like city, so Kingston to me, who did hair, but she would charge like outrageous prices for it because she knew that she was like one of the only people that could do the hair. And so there was also a lot of times of having hairdressers that said that they knew how to do our hair, but then afterwards we'd be like left with like this mess. Like both mine and my sister's hair were just fried when we were younger from getting like perms done, but like them just not doing them quite properly. And so for a really long time, we didn't really have anybody. And that's like, also we were talking about the social media. That's the nice thing is that like you can go on and you can find people that look like you and get to know like what works for them and just kind of find out this information through social media, which I think is really great because like we were saying, like I didn't have that when I was younger. You know, it was very hard. I wasn't really like in the know to like think to like look up on forums and stuff. So it was kind of a trial and error for a lot of things.
What about also, did you have access to Sephora and Ulta and places like that growing up?
No, I did not. We had Shoppers Drug Mart, which was similar to like a CVS.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was pretty much all we had. But there was a lot of times where I would spend, like, especially in my, once I got my driver's license and I had, you know, access to the car, I would spend time in like Sephora and stuff and just talking to the people at like the makeup counters and just going around being like, well, what's this? Like, especially when they weren't busy, they like loved it because I would just be like, well, what's this do? And like, what's this for? And like, I have this issue. And they would be like, they were so like excited and kind of like there was just an like not like there was an amusement to it, but like not in a negative way. They were just like, this young girl is just so obsessed with skincare. And so that was kind of where I started to figure it out. But it wasn't until later that I really started to figure out skincare. And also once I started filming, that was a big thing because I really had a chance to, you know, being in the makeup chair, I really, for like an hour or, you know, up to 2 hours getting hair and makeup done, I really had time to just sit there and pick apart my makeup artist's brain, which was really great.
Okay. So they know the absolute best tips, and I'm going to ask you that in a minute, but I was on the set of the Vampire Diaries when it was really popular. I still love that show. And Essie Cha, who unfortunately just passed away a couple months ago, but she was incredible. So she did Nina Dobrev's makeup. And she says the most important thing is skincare. So you can have all the great makeup, but it has to lay perfect on the skin, and you have to like hydrate and exfoliate and everything. So I'm sure I cannot wait to hear some like pro tips that you have learned sitting in that chair. And yes, you have that hour or 45 minutes to get all the tips.
Yes.
So let's start with skincare tips. And then I also want to know makeup tips and tricks too. So let's first start with the best skincare tips that you've gotten from the pros.
Amazing. Yes. So that is 100% true. And that is something that I did learn while being on set, is that skincare is like a must, especially when I was filming Surreal Estate out in St. John's. My makeup artist, Sky, her mom is also an esthetician, and she owns like her own spa out there. So that's where I was introduced to the Eminence line, which I am absolutely obsessed with. I love Eminence. I saw you do this and I was like, yeah, it's so good. I love it.
Love it.
Any of their products I'm obsessed with. So that was like a really big thing and I was like, there's so many products. Like it was just like kid in a candy store when I was over there. So that was like a really big thing, was learning about the skincare prep to make my makeup sit properly. And the difference is really like astronomical when I see myself with my hair, like with proper skincare and the makeup sits. Like, I don't know, right now I exfoliated 2 days ago. And so my skin is quite like fresh. It's like supple. So the makeup I find is sitting really nicely, and it's giving me like a really nice glow. That's not just the lighting. That's just like the makeup sitting where it's supposed to be pretty much. I'm not saying like, oh, I've got amazing glowy skin, but I'm just saying like it really is just the way that the makeup sits. It allows your skin to glow through, which was really nice. And then I would see myself on camera and I'd be like, oh, I am my own dream girl. What? So yeah, that was a really big one. The Eminence products.
Can I ask you real quick what your favorite Eminence products are?
The recovery oil. I'm obsessed with that stuff.
Okay.
The recovery oil, I don't know what they put in it. I don't know if it's like a magical potion, but that stuff is amazing. Like if my skin was feeling like dry or dull, or just even sometimes like I would get a, not like a rash, but like a little contact dermatitis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'd get a little bit of that on, some areas from, I don't know, sometimes it would just happen and I'd be like, I don't know what I did for this to come in, but I'd put the recovery oil on at night. The next morning, it's gone. It's I love it. Yeah, it's
Really? Okay.
yes. So that was like a really big thing for me. Also because St. John's and Victoria, BC, where I was as well, they are very opposite kind of climate, but at the same time I found that they were both very dry, and so that was a big thing, was battling the dryness of the climate. Melanin skin tends to be a little bit drier because it's like our moisture, I believe it's like our body, like our skin doesn't retain moisture as well. So like that was something where I really had to start to include like a thicker moisturizer, so like something with like a ceramide or something to help with like the lipid replenishment.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, words. So that was kind of the biggest thing. That was something that they told me, and so my makeup artist kind of introduced me to I really like the Dr. Jart. Is it Dr. Jart or Jart?
Mm-hmm. Jart. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like their ceramide. That one was really nice. I really liked that one, especially in the wintertime. It wasn't too thick. So that one was really nice to help, because I'd start to kind of flake. And when you're on camera, there's a lot of powdering happening because the lights are so hot. So you start sweating a lot. So it's like they're trying to battle like shine and sweat. And so you start to get powdered a lot. Like if you were to see like our on camera makeup off camera, it's a little bit like jarring because you're just so powdery, but it doesn't look that way when you're on camera. But the flaking would still, like, that's something that I would want to avoid while I was on camera. So making sure that my skin was super moisturized before I would go on set was really important. Yeah, and then also like having I really like the Mangosteen revitalizing mist from Eminence
Yes.
as well. Like just like a hydrating mist was something that I found really important as well, just to kind of give your skin some of that hydration throughout the day, especially with all of the makeup that I was wearing. And also the thing that I was also introduced, I mean, I always knew I had to take my makeup off. You know, everyone knows, you can't sleep in your makeup. But that was a really big thing, was double cleansing, that I was kind of introduced to, which I know a lot of people know about now. But at the time, I wasn't aware of double cleansing, especially like cleansing with like an oil based cleanser first, just to help break down all the makeup and get that off. And then I know they're like not the best, but sometimes I will use like a makeup wipe afterwards just to make sure that I was getting, you know, some things around like the eyes. And so I would use like a makeup remover around the eyes and things, but I wanted to make sure I was getting all of my mascara off and stuff like that. So that was like a big thing. So I would double cleanse, oil cleanser first, and then I would usually go, I'm obsessed with the Mangosteen line from Eminence. So I would go in with the Mangosteen cleanser afterwards and give that like a really nice wash. And making sure that I was exfoliating. That was also a big thing that they introduced me to, was the exfoliators. And it doesn't always have to be like, I was always going in with like something like I needed to feel the granules. Otherwise I felt like it wasn't doing its job, which I feel like is kind of like a big thing for some people. It's like a sensory thing. Like you just need to know that it's like getting it all off. And so they also introduced me to some more of like a lighter exfoliation, a chemical exfoliation. The word chemical used to really freak me out because I was thinking like it's going to be super abrasive, or even like I thought it was like a foreign chemical instead of it being like something like natural you know what I mean? Like I'm thinking like chemical, like in a lab, science, like
Right.
harsh. And so
you're like, no, just a like enzyme or glycolic. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So those were some of the really big things, was the makeup removal. Obviously, the hydration was a really big thing. And the exfoliation was another thing.
You know your stuff, Savannah. I'm impressed. Like, yeah, you could be an esthetician.
Thank you.
Yeah. And oh my gosh. Yes. I'm obsessed with Eminence. They just have, sometimes I wish their price point was a little bit lower, but I'm like, gosh, how much is that toner? But so, I mean, their stuff is it's so good.
It is.
When I had my spa, I often used a lot of Eminence. I like more natural and organic products. I'm like a hybrid. I like science with that, but always clean ingredients, and they just have good stuff. Okay. So I want to switch to some makeup tips. What are some makeup tips that you have also learned when being on the set?
Okay. Makeup tips. Now, like I said, I am a child of you know, the packing on, the cake face, all of that stuff, which I do love. I like that look. It is a fun look when you know what I mean? Like not 100% cakey, but having a face full of makeup. I don't mind that. I think it's fun. Makeup is art. And if you want to, you know, do a full canvas, go for it. I love that. As I got a little bit older, I have found that the way that I apply makeup is different. I mean, when you're younger, your skin can like, you know, do anything and everything looks great on young skin. But as I've gotten older, I have realized that, and through sitting in the chair, as I would sit there, they would start with such a small amount. And I'd be like, oh, okay. So like, you're going to add like a couple more like layers. And they'd be like, no, 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 you're good. Like, that's good. And so it would just be this thing of me being like, oh, okay. And so then they'd start like, just, it wasn't even like how it looked. Cause I'd see it and I'd be like, yeah, that looks great. But in my mind, I'm thinking, no, 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 you need to put more on. And they're like, no, you're going to have more throughout the day. Like, you don't worry. Like, it's going to we need to start less because you're going to end up putting more on.
Mm.
But also in terms of just the skin texture and keeping it light and buildable. That was the biggest thing that I found that they really gave me, was keeping things starting off smaller portions, because like I said, it is buildable and you can just add as you go. So that was kind of a big thing for me, was, you know, even some like nowadays, before I would go in with a foundation and do my entire face, and then I would put on a bunch of concealer, and then I would bake it, and then, which is really fine if you're going out to a club or like whatever, if that's what you want to do, that's great. But I would start to see things like my under eye would start creasing, or I would start to get like flaky up top here. And it's just also because I've hit 30, my skin has changed. So I've had to change the way that I do my makeup. And that was a big thing, was, you know, now I'll just do some concealer and I just kind of like will even out the skin tone and then set it. And that to me is like so crazy that's like kind of all I do compared to
Nobody has
the
time to
steps.
bake. I mean, I've seen those videos and I'm like, good for y'all. And I also see the videos where they literally, and I know it's also for show, you know,
Yes.
it's fun. It's to watch, but they will squeeze out the product, let it drip on their face. And it's like totally, and you're watching them create character, I think. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I would be so hot underneath that. And my skin would feel like it couldn't breathe. I like to breathe. And I think your skin needs to breathe.
Yes. And it's funny because I didn't realize that until I started getting like on-set makeup done, where they would start with like the smaller amount, and I would be like, oh, this is weird. Like I was so used to feeling my makeup. That was like, I was used to it. I was like, yeah,
I know what you mean.
you've got makeup on your face. Like, of course you're going to feel the makeup. Like that was always my thing when I was younger and in my early 20s. I was like, of course you're going to feel the makeup. You've got something on your face. But now that I definitely wear less makeup and I'm more strategic with the placement of my makeup, I totally understand now that feeling of being like, I feel like I'm being suffocated when I have too much makeup on. I can feel the difference.
Me too. I just recently saw the best concealer tip, and I know I'm 47 actually, so I'm I'm like way ahead of you. So what happens is with your concealer, even as you get older, you can't actually put it right underneath. I mean, it will show the creases. So she was saying, listen, stop doing that. Like, it's, you know, you can do it now at your age, but my age, they're like, just put it down below and just focus on that area to brighten up. And ever since I've been doing that, it's been a game changer. I'm like, okay, it is what it is. And just keep that area super hydrated and let the hydration show.
Yes. So makeup tips, that would be kind of one of the biggest ones, is starting off small, making it buildable. And then also because you can fix your mistakes a lot easier if you start lighter and then build up. It's a lot easier to fix any type of mistakes you may make.
So what are you currently, like, your favorites that you go to daily? What current products are you really into right now?
Yeah. So right now, the Shiseido, is that how you say it?
You know what? I don't know. I know what you're talking about. Shiseido. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
tricky name.
Yeah, that it's very, very tricky. But the Shiseido, their concealer, I really like. It's very creamy, and I don't want to say moisturizing, but it's very creamy texture, and it leaves like this really nice dewy kind of finish. Not greasy either, which I like. So that one's really been a really big one, as well as their SPF.
Oh, can I ask you a concealer question?
Yes.
Because you have had the top, makeup artists. So are your makeup artists putting their concealer on after a layer, or they do it before? Because I've heard different like mixed opinions about. So I was like, oh, I've got to ask you about that. I've got to
Right?
ask Savannah about that.
Some people, yes. So I usually get it done. They usually do it after like a foundation.
Okay.
Unless there's been one makeup artist though that I had that kind of color corrected with a kind of a ready concealer, like a concealer that was a little bit more of had like a red hint, like tint to it. It was a little bit darker than my skin color, like my skin, just to help cancel that out. So that one, they did use like a lighter concealer under the eyes, and then they put the foundation on, and then they used like a concealer that was kind of more my shade on top.
Okay. Well, good. I wanted to ask because I do it after, and it just makes such a difference. Otherwise, when I put it on before, I just feel like it's like blending in. I'm like, well, where did the concealer go? It's like all over my face.
Yep. The brightness kind of goes away.
It does.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's your concealer. Anything else that you're loving?
I've really been loving, one of my makeup artists introduced me to 𝐓𝐤𝐲. It's CLE, a brand. And they have really nice tinted CC creams. I believe it's an Asian, like a Korean
I've heard of that.
skincare. Yes, I really love it. I'm also really big into like the Korean skincare game. I love it so much. I tend to go in. I get a lot of my sheet masks from there. They have such great sheet masks. I don't really have one in particular that I love. I usually like to go in there and ask them, like, what's your favorite brand, or what's a brand that you find is like the most popular, and I give those a try. But yeah, so 𝐓𝐤𝐲 has, and makeup wise, 𝐓𝐤𝐲 has been a really big, that one. I'm a really big fan of the Benefit brows. It's more of like the brush on brow one that they have, not so much the pencil, but it's escaping my mind right now. You asked me 4 brands, and I'm like, oh, let me just give you descriptions.
And what are you wearing on your lips today?
Right now, I have the Clarins Lip Perfector.
Okay.
The Clarins Lip Perfector in number 6. I really like this guy. He's fun. He's like a nice little balm. And then on my face, I just have the Shiseido concealer, and then I just did a quick little like light powder with MAC. Just a MAC foundation, powdered foundation, the classic one that they have. So I did. And
do you use bronzer, or just do you blush? What do you prefer?
Yes. So I actually forgot my bronzer because like I said, I'm visiting my mom. So I forgot my bronzer. And sometimes I'll go in even with like a darker foundation instead of going for like a full on bronzer. Because sometimes I find the bronzer has a little bit of like a shimmer in it. And sometimes I just want to be glowy. So I'll even use my bronzer as a blush sometimes, which is fun. Or I'll do both. I'll add a little bit of like a bronzer where my cheeks are, and then I'll put just like something like a blush that has a little bit of a shimmer in it, and I'll put that over it. And I do my nose, and then the other side as well. But sometimes I'll just use a darker powdered foundation to give me a little bit of like a bronze sun-kissed look, which I quite enjoy. I love being very bronzy. That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah. And it gives your face like some definition, and
yes,
it looks nice. So I'm curious. So with your skincare, do you also like to do beauty tools? Like, is there anything that you add beauty tool wise in your skincare routine?
Not particularly right now. Sometimes I will use the jade, like a jade stone. And oh my God, I just forgot his name. What's that little guy's name? That's like it's like a piece, like the rock. You know what I'm talking about? And you like smooth it across your face.
The gua sha?
Yes, the gua sha. Sometimes I'll use the 𝐓𝐢𝐸. Sometimes I'll do that guy.
That guy.
Yeah.
That little guy.
Just that little guy. Yeah. Sometimes I forget, honestly. But I guess that this is kind of a tool, a steamer. I just have like this face steamer that I use. And sometimes, maybe like once a month, I should probably boost that up. During the wintertime, I definitely do it a lot more, the face steamer. But I like to steam my face, and then I'll do like a little at-home facial type of thing where I'm exfoliating.
I believe you can even YouTube Eminence facial massage, and you can see the actual massage if you want to do it on yourself, which it's more fun to have other people do it. But we also need to do facial massage every day, in my opinion, morning and night, just to keep everything nice and fresh and just keeping our muscles tight and relax at the same time. So I try not to I haven't used Botox or fillers yet. So I do gua sha, I do facial massage, lymph drainage, red lights. I do all the things. And that's very helpful. Well, yeah. So YouTube Eminence facial massage, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Savannah, it has been such a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much. And everybody, make sure to go to the app so you can hear her exclusive tips inside the app. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, my skin friends, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a friend who may want to change their skin without all of the overwhelming confusion? And before you go, I would love to send you my free 48-hour skin makeover as a gift. All you have to do is leave your review on the podcast because it really supports the growth of the show. This is my 48-hour skincare makeover guide where I will show you all of my best tips to transform your skin quickly. Perfect for when you need to look amazing in a short amount of time. All you have to do is leave your review on the podcast, take a screenshot, and then head over to lindsayholder.com/review to upload it. And then you will get instant access to the 48-hour skincare makeover guide. Again, head to lindsayholder.com/review to upload your screenshot and get access. I am so grateful for all of your support and cannot wait to hear how the podcast has supported you. Now, time to grab your favorite skincare mask and have some TLC time for yourself. I'll meet you back here on Tuesday for another episode. Until next time.